Hello friends, welcome to the next tutorial of Bug Bounty Hunting program. In this tutorial, we will be starting off with a new module, and that is Introduction to XSS, which is cross-site scripting. What is cross-site scripting or XSS? Cross-site scripting is a type of web application attack where malicious client-side script is injected into the application output and subsequently executed by the user's browser. It is an attack on the privacy of clients of a particular website, which can lead to a total breach of security when customer details are stolen or manipulated. Primarily, there are two types of XSS. One is temporary XSS and another is permanent XSS. So what is temporary XSS? The vulnerabilities which allows hacker to insert malicious code into HTML code of the browser. It is called temporary as it only happens when the user clicks on the hacker-made link and it is not stored within the application. And what about permanent XSS? Those vulnerabilities in which a hacker inject and execute malicious client-side script through the browser which gets permanently stored in the database. Those vulnerabilities are referred to as permanent XSS. Okay, now you must be wondering, even after finding a XSS vulnerability, how we are going to identify it. So the classic proof of concept for XSS is a little alert box with some arbitrary text in it or a picture of something silly. This doesn't seem nearly dangerous enough to warrant concern. What are the harmful effects of XSS? Stealing other users' cookie, stealing their private information, performing action on behalf of other users, redirecting to other websites, showing ads in hidden iframes and pop-ups. These are few of the harmful effects which can happen due to XSS. Now, here are some examples of XSS. This is how you will get an alert box, and this text can be edited by the user who is injecting this payload. Over here, if you will see, this is the payload which the hacker has injected, alert XSS script. Here is another one on facebook.com and youtube.com. Okay, there are basically four categories of XSS. First is stored XSS, then DOM-based XSS, reflected XSS, and blind XSS. What is stored XSS? Stored cross-site scripting, which is also known as persistent XSS or second-order XSS, arises when an application receives data from an untrusted source and includes that data within its later HTTP response in an unsafe way. It is the most dangerous type of cross-site scripting web application that allows user to store data that is potentially exposed to this type of attack. This vulnerability can be used to conduct a number of browser-based attacks, including hijacking another user's browser, capturing sensitive information viewed by application users, pseudo defacement of the application. Pseudo defacement over here refers to which happens for a very short period of time. Port scanning of internal host, internal in relation to the user of the application, directed delivery of browser-based exploits, and other malicious activities. XSS vulnerability can be performed where there is a parameter. Doesn't matter it is get based or post based, because parameter is a place where we inject our payload. So we need a parameter to perform XSS vulnerability. How to intercept request via burp suite and exploit XSS vulnerability in DVWA. In this tutorial, we will learn how to perform stored-based XSS attack via burp suite. So first of all, open burp suite, go to proxy, then options. Over here, select this and edit. Click on specific address and select any of these, and remember that address as you will be needing it. I'll select this one, hit OK. Now open Mozilla Firefox, click on options, go to network settings, and instead of no proxy, select manual proxy, and over here type that proxy which you have selected in burp suite. Also, your port number is 8080. Now go to your DVWA lab. Instead of localhost, type the burp suite IP address which you have selected over there, and the port over here is 8081. You must be wondering that in Mozilla option we have selected port 8080, but over here we are using port 8081. Why is that? It's because over here the Apache server is using port 8081 to access DVWA. So we have to use port 8081 over here. Now hit enter and select XSS stored. Now turn on your intercept. Refresh this page. Burpsuit has intercepted this request. Now click on action and send this to Spider. Go to target. Now click on params option. Now select this one as it is for XSS. Right click and send it to repeater. Now over here you will see that these are the fields where you can insert your payload. First of all, whenever you are trying this in a live website, you need to check whether what you are typing is being displayed on the page or not. For that, simply write hello. Now over here, in search, type hello and see over here, yeah, your hello is reflected in the website. Now you can insert your payload and also see over here that there are no inverted comma and angular brackets. So you can directly insert your payload over here like this. In case if this is coming right after your hello, you need to close this first, and how you need to do it in your payload is like this. In that case, this will be your payload, because first of all you need to complete the existing query and then start your payload so that it doesn't get affected. Let me delete it. Now if I'll hit go, see, the script has been executed. Let's check it. Right click and show response in browser. Copy this, paste it over here, hit enter. Voila! Finally, we are successfully able to perform XSS via Burpsuit. So this is how you need to check the live website for the XSS vulnerability. Also, this is the simplest payload that we have used over here. What is reflected cross-site scripting? So, reflected cross-site scripting or XSS arises when an application receives data in an HTTP request and includes that data within the immediate response in an unsafe way. It is by far the most basic type of web vulnerability. These holes show up when the data provided by the web client, most commonly in HTTP query parameter, example, HTML form submission, where you have to submit a form and fill in your details. It is used immediately by server-side script to parse and display a page of results for and to that user without properly sanitizing the content. So how we can test reflected XSS? Suppose we have this website which says insecurewebsite.com search exclamation term is equal to gift. So over here they are using get parameter, and if we'll inject this get parameter, we can perform a reflected XSS. As you can see over here, after message, instead of gift we have inserted our script, or I can say we have inserted our payload, and if the payload get executed, it will show an alert box on the website. Things will definitely get more clear when we'll do this on our testing environment. So let's start off with low level security and check XSS reflected. Over here, we'll use the most basic payload, which is script alert script. Let's hit submit and check the result. Yes, it did give us the required output. Now, let's change the security to medium and let's try injecting the same payload and see the result. Oh, this time it didn't give us the output. That means it didn't give us the alert box. So Now let's check the source code of medium security. Over here, first let's see what was there in low security. They haven't assigned any function to restrict the injection. But if you look at medium reflected XSS source, there is this function *replace. This function is replacing the word script from our payload and converting it into a blank space. That's why we are not able to inject this payload. If you see, the script is written in small letter. Let's try injecting the same script with little tweak. Let's put capital S. Now in this injection we have changed the small s to capital S. Now let's check if we are able to execute it or not. Yes, so we have successfully performed XSS vulnerability on medium level security as well. Now let's move on to high security. Now let's try putting the payload via which we were able to execute medium level security. And that was over here. If you will see, it has just given this angular bracket and rest of the part has been eliminated by the algorithm. Now let's check its source code. If you will see in high level security, so they have used this function preg replace, and what this function is doing, it is replacing the script part script, this part, whether it is case sensitive or not. The I here stands for case sensitivity, and doesn't matter what character has been added between script. It will eliminate the whole part and will put a blank space instead of it. So we have to use a payload which doesn't include the word script in it. So let's try image src. Let's check this payload. We have used the following payload. What this payload is doing, img stands for image, src stands for source. So this payload will try to put an image from source this, but if it is not able to insert an image on this HTML page, then it will give us an error, that is alert 1. So finally we have executed high level security as well. There is one more thing which you need to know, and that is if alert is also sanitized and eliminated by the website, then in that case instead of alert you can also use prompt keyword and it will provide you the error. Now let's look at impossible security. And try to inject with the last payload, and that was this one. This means that with impossible security, XSS vulnerability cannot be performed. If we look at the source code, it is eliminating and sanitizing all the HTML special characters. HTML special characters include ampersand, double quote, single quote, and angular brackets. It will convert these into this format. But in some website, we can use the encoded form and inject this vulnerability as well. How is that? If the website allows us to inject the encoded payload, and at the back end it is able to reverse this payload and provide us in this format, so in that case only we will be able to execute XSS. How we can perform DOM based XSS in our testing environment. So let's get started. So our security level is low. Let's go to XSS DOM and please choose a language. Over here there are 4 languages: English, French, Spanish and German. Let's click English and select this one. As you can see over here, it is a get based request and default equal to English has been displayed over here in the URL. Now let's right click and view page source. Let's do Ctrl F and type English and hit enter. Okay, So English keyword is being reflected over here. Now let's try a simple XSS over here, and hence we are able to bypass this security level and able to perform DOM based XSS in low level security. Now let's change the security to medium and try the same. As you can see over here that there was no alert pop-up this time. Now let's check the view source and see what is it saying over here. As you can see over here, don't allow script tags. So if it see any script tag that is being injected over here, it will disallow it, will not provide us the alert box. So let's do one more thing and also check its page source. Let's type English. This time let's do one thing. Let's close option and select statement like this, and then let's apply a different payload. So let's close option first, then select. Now let's apply this payload svg onload equal to alert 1. Voila! We are able to bypass medium level security as well. So Blind XSS is a flavor of cross-site scripting where the attacker blindly deploys a series of malicious payload on web pages that are likely to save them to a persistent state, maybe in a database or in log file. Then, without knowing any details about where the payloads have ended up or if they are going to be executed, the attacker waits for the payload to be pulled out of storage and rendered on a web page loaded by the user. So, what happens in case of login forms? Login forms usually takes the input username string and save it to a log file which can be viewed later. Hence, a failed login with a malicious script entered in the username field of the login form will cause the server to save an entry into the log file, which will have a malicious script as the username. An attacker can perform such several login attempts in order to get the malicious script into the log database or log file. Later on, when an administrator of that website checks out the logs for the day, and if those logs come up in a web page, the malicious script may get executed and call back to the attacker with the desired information. So this is how a blind XSS is executed. So let's start the same. First, we need to turn on the intercept of burp suite. So let's turn it on. Let's capture the request. Right click and send it to spider. Let's go to target, sitemap, show only in scope items. Let's check scope, scope included in scope, and over here remove all these. Let's go to sitemap again and spider this host. Now let's select a particular URL. Let's select this URL. Now right click and send it to repeater. Let's first click go and check the response. Okay, now let's select ecosport/2018. Over here, what we need to do, we need to inject a payload in URL encoded format, as this website is not accepting the normal text format. Let's copy this first Start over, paste this payload, encode URL. Now let's copy this. Let's paste it over here. First, let's delete this. Now right click and paste over here. Yeah. Now let's check the response. The response is okay. Now right click and send it to, now show response in browser. Now let's copy and paste our URL. Oh, I forgot to turn off my intercept. Let's turn it off and check. Yeah, voila. As you can see, we have performed XSS. Now let's copy the response again and paste it over here. So XSS is successfully working over here. So that's all for this tutorial. Thanks a lot for watching this video.